wave of civil lawsuits have been filed against disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. 2 women and 4 men are now accusing the rapper-producer of sexual assault, saying the acts go back as far as 1995. Up until now, all the cases against Diddy revolved around adults. But one of the men included in these lawsuits says he was just 16 years old at the time of his assault. These suits are just the first of an alleged 120 victims announced by Texas-based lawyer Tony Busby earlier this month. Combs has been behind bars since his arrest for federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. Let's bring in NewsNation senior correspondent Laura Engel, who is live outside of the federal courthouse there in Manhattan. Laura, what more can you tell us, first of all, about these new lawsuits?
Hey, Nichole. Well, these jarring accusations that are contained in these lawsuits, we've printed them out. We've been going through them outside of this courthouse here today. And man, oh man, they really are very disturbing, devastating, in fact, in many places. And as you mentioned, we're talking about 2 women and 4 men who have filed these 4 separate lawsuits, these 6 separate lawsuits, all with the same alleged pattern of abuse by Sean Combs, putting drugs in their drinks or in the body lotion or oil that was used at parties, then allegedly assaulting them alone or with others. Now, one of the male victims claims he was a victim at just 16 years old while attending one of those infamous white parties at Combs' house in the Hamptons in 1998. The accusations include details such as Combs' alleged preferred method of drugging drinks, putting the date rape drug Rohypnol or GHB in champagne or lemon drops. And for the first time, we're seeing a photo of an example of what that container looked like. You saw it there. The 6 new lawsuits accuse Combs of a wide range of criminal behavior, including sexual assault, battery, and sex trafficking, claiming that he used his wealth and celebrity status to exploit and control his victims, even threatening bodily harm and death. All accusations. Now, one of the most detailed lawsuits comes from a woman who alleges that Combs drugged her and sexually assaulted her in multiple incidents, some dating back to the early 2000s. Another lawsuit accuses him of luring women to parties with the promises of networking opportunities, only for them to be subjected to sexual exploitations. There's also a claim that ties him to a broader sex trafficking ring. This lawsuit alleges that Combs orchestrated or was complicit in trafficking women across state lines for the purpose of engaging in sexual acts with him and others in his circle involving coercion and threats. And while most of the suits list these victims as John and Jane Doe, they do have a couple of names in here from an adult film actress, other singers, and obviously everybody's waiting for the bigger names to come forward. But man, oh man, inside of these court documents, there is a lot of detail. Nichole?
Absolutely. So has Combs responded to these allegations, or his attorneys? What is his legal team saying?
Yeah, of course, Combs and his attorneys are categorically denying all of these accusations, saying that a lot of these people are coming forward for simply a money grab for the attention. And obviously the lawyers representing all of these alleged victims think otherwise. We have a partial statement to read you because this came out yesterday. Combs' legal team released the statement saying, in part, they argue that these women are trying to exploit Combs' celebrity status to extort money. His attorneys are preparing to fight the charges in court and maintain that Combs will be exonerated of all wrongdoing. Meanwhile, the lawsuits are ongoing and the legal battles ahead could be lengthy and complex. And again, 6 new lawsuits just this week. We know more most likely will be coming. Combs was right here around the corner at a different courthouse just last week as we were reporting live. So we wait to see what happens next. And we can tell you also tonight on Banfield, 10 p.m. Eastern, Banfield will be having some new reporting with some new victims that we have not heard about, with even more details about what they say has gone on. Nichole?
Yeah, more information continues to come out. Laura Engel, thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.